everybody, welcome to Emily Kate Made This. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. Today's episode is more of a special episode. It's not my normal finished objects, works in progress, but it's my autumn knitting plans. So if you are interested in that, hello. I will talk about my visit to Scotland and my yarn purchases in my next regular episode, but I will touch on them a little bit in this one. So yeah, let's get to it. So this autumn I have a few plans. Some you will have heard about before, some are new. One is already cast on, almost ready to be cast off, so don't know if that's cheating, but hey ho. Right, how should we start? I'll start with accessories, then garments. So number one on the list of what I plan to make this autumn is my cheating one, because I've already started it. I will show you. I will put all the information about the pattern and the designer down below, and I will also add chapters if you want to skip through. I'm also putting a picture with the name of the pattern because most of them I can't pronounce either the name of the pattern or maybe the designer, so I'm cheating. I'm putting it there. So this pattern was gifted to me. I won't say by who because I didn't ask if it was okay, but you know who you are, so thank you. And it is a beret because, you know, I love me a beret. It feels mad to be talking about all this stuff because it's 30 degrees today and it's September. What? I purchased this yarn. It's the Cascade 220 and it was a test. I bought one skein just to test it to see if my mum would like it for her jumper that I made her last year. And although she did like it, I just did not want to knit a jumper in superwash. I wanted to, or like soft merino-y wool. I wanted to make it in Swedish wool. So even though I bought this, she went, oh yeah, that's nice. I then didn't make the jumper in it. I made it in something completely different. And then I've just had this ball rolling around. And last week I was going mad because I could not get my knitting head in gear. I wanted to cast on all the things, but I didn't know what I wanted to cast on, and I had all this yarn and I didn't know what to do. I was overwhelmed, so I picked out the skein and thought, you're going to become a hat right now. So although this hat was in the back of my mind, I wanted to make it at some point, definitely wasn't what I had planned to cast on straight away, and for some reason I just thought, yeah, now is the time. So I did. I'm very nervous about the size because it looks really small. This is how far I am. It's like a baby hat, but it is, to my knowledge, this is a superwash yarn. I'm pretty sure it's superwash, and it's a merino. The problem is that the tag is right in the center, and if I take it out, the whole thing will implode. But I think it's going to stretch. And I did stretch this over my head just about the other day. But if I do it now, I'll ruin my hair, so I'm not going to. Also, it doesn't look like a beret because it's all on the needles and it hasn't been shaped. I know that I've made a couple of berets before and I thought, how is this ever going to look like a beret? So knowing that I've had that experience before, I do have hope that this will turn into the correct shape. But right now I just think I've made a beanie and I don't really suit beanies. But let's have hope. I also made the compact version because there are two. There's a wide version and a compact version. But my last beret that I made, which I love to look at, it is so beautiful. When I wear it, I feel a bit stupid. Like, I feel like stupid's kind of the wrong word, but I don't know, I feel a bit like a mushroom, which is also weird because I made an actual mushroom beret and that's perfectly fine. Love wearing that. But this other one is so big. It's like having a dinner plate on my head. It feels like I look like I have a dinner plate on my head. I don't know, maybe in time it will grow on me. Like if I look at it, I think I want to wear it, it's beautiful, and I put it on and I think, oh gosh, no. Like some kind of angel halo around my head kind of vibe. I need to work on it, on bonding with it when it's on my head. So instead of going for the wide option, I went for the smaller option. And don't know if that was a good idea or not, because it could come out too small. But we will find out, because it is almost finished. I have another 4 or 5 rows of the pattern, and then the decreases start. And then we will find out if it fits and if it is even a beret shape. It's so beautiful, but I'm really struggling with the cables. It's a cable pattern, and I think I just don't like doing cables. I didn't think I had a problem with cables, but if I think about the patterns that cause me the most hand pain and frustration, they are cable patterns. Which is a shame, because I actually really wanted to make another one of these hats, but I didn't enjoy the process of it. I think it's probably more, I don't know if it's a dyslexia thing. Basically, one of the stitches is put at the front and then I can't even explain it. One of the stitches is at the front and then you say purl from the main needle, and then the next one is put at the back, and then at another point it reverses, and my brain just can't hold on very easily to the fact that that goes up front but that gets purled, but when you turn it around this one gets knitted and that one gets moved there, and then it's all reverses, and then I think, say what now? So every single time I do a cable I had to add a stitch marker because I could not keep up with where I was. Like, did I just put that cable needle at the front, or did I just put that cable needle at the back? Where am I? Which one am I on? So after about, I think it was only the first cable row, I thought, nope, I need my stitch markers. So they came out, and then it was fine. Then I knew, okay, I'm here, so I've got to put this at the front. And it was fine, and I got it, but I didn't enjoy it. And it really hurt my hands, and I get that with cables. My Yggdrasil jumper, they're very small cables, they're not a big deal, it's just putting it onto the front and knitting it. But for some reason the way that my hands hold the needles or hold onto the cable needle, maybe, it just causes pain, which is annoying. The pattern does have a recommendation for how you can do the cables without a cable needle. I just didn't understand. I might try it again, just out of curiosity, maybe on a sock, and see if it works, because I think I was doing it right, but I'm not sure, and it might help. But equally, when you have to purl a stitch through the back, I also have to contort my hands a lot. I think it's just I'm hyperextensive, and if I move my joints too much, my hands too much, they just get upset very quickly. So it's best not to aggravate them if possible. So this hat is knitted on 4.5mm needles and what are you, worsted weight yarn? So it should theoretically be a very fast knit, but I'm on about day 5 of this. I can only knit about 3 rows and then my hands are going, no thank you. And unfortunately to the point where I can't knit on anything else. So that's why this won't be, I won't be making this a whole bunch of times, even if it's really beautiful. But I'm looking forward to having it if it fits, because I want to have a neutrally coloured hat, because I have so many crazy colours going on in my clothes. Sometimes it would be nice to just have something that matches, like a scarf and a hat that match together, rather than like a blue hat here and a red scarf there and a blue coat here, and you know, sometimes I just want a little bit of matchy. So my shawl that I had planned 1 or 2 years ago is a creamy colour, and I thought at least those two might go together. So, talking of shawl, let's move on to that one. So that's the first plan for autumn. Now I look at them together, I don't think that they actually match at all. Maybe kind of. This yarn was purchased in Yarn Over Berlin, in Berlin, where my mum visited. It is Frida Fuchs Hanami. It's a superwash blue face Leicester and nylon blend, and it was purchased to make the Joji Locatelli Venezia Shawl, because last year I went to Venezia and I thought I could make this shawl, and then naturally I never did, and I still have the wool for it. It's a very small, like a shawlette. Theoretically it could be a fast knit, but it's me we're talking about here, so it'll probably take me a while, but I don't mind because it seems like a pretty simple shawl. One that has got a little bit of lace, so you've got to think about it, but then it also has sections where it's easy going, I hope. So that is my second plan. I can't remember any of the details, but there will be a picture somewhere, and it's been on my Make 9, I think. Don't know if it's been for 2 years, it must just be 1 year. It's on this year's Make 9, I'm pretty sure. I should check that again. Thing is, it doesn't really match anything in my wardrobe, but I am currently on a mission to create things that all go together, so if the hat could at least match the shawl, that would be a bonus. And yeah, maybe I'll make some lacy gloves, or somehow I'm going to make sets. I would like to make a hat, scarf, gloves set of different colours over time, over the next few years. Then eventually things will all go together and it will be marvellous. My next plan for autumn is also an accessory, and it is a pair of mittens. But not just any mittens. The most adorable mittens you've ever seen. I will try and find the picture, but I'm going to put a Ravelry picture from the Ravelry because it's adorable. But I'll see if I can find the picture here in the book. It's a tiny picture. So my obsession with Sweden apparently started way before I realised, because I bought this book last year, and it is Swedish designer Jenny Albrandt, and she has some adorable patterns. And I don't remember why I ended up getting this book. I think I was trying to buy German books so I could get back into reading, and got very distracted and found knitting books and came across this one. So I saw these adorable kitten mittens and I felt like they needed to be in my life. I put the yarn behind me. So I've got this yarn. I'm not 100% sure. I wanted to make slippers actually with this pattern, but I don't know how to do the maths for it and how big and how they'll look basically. So I'm going to start with mittens and then do slippers. These will probably be for the slippers because it's superwash and sock yarn and would hopefully not get holes. This one is Regia Tweed, and don't know if you can see it, but there's tweedy bits. And then the white to go with. If I make them as mittens, then I will probably use some of the wool that I got in Scotland. But we will get to that on my next episode. So that is the plan. They're kind of two plans in one. One as mittens and one as slippers. And I think they're going to be so cute. Only issue I'm having right now is that I have 2 pairs of mittens on my needles already that I have not finished. One is from I think 2 years ago, the other one is from last year, and they are not done at all. Like not even one of them is done. So I know that I have to finish them, but I really want to cast on these. So yeah, I think I will start with these, and then maybe the enthusiasm of the mitten will encourage me to finish the other ones, because I really want them done and I want the needles back. So I feel so bad for casting on another pair of mittens when I haven't finished the other two. The problem is it's so hot right now that I don't want to knit on one of them, because I think it's pronounced Thrums. It's got essentially wool, raw wool really, twisted it in onto the inside. Maybe I can show you. Yes, I can. It's right here. This should technically also count as an autumn plan, because I really should finish them. They look mad, but they're going to be so warm. I have no idea where I am on this pattern at all. All it says on my notes is thrummed mittens. I'm on row 10, but I have no idea where the pattern is. So it's not in my project bags, it must be online. So I'm afraid I can't give you any more information except the fact that it's Let Lopey. It was inspired by Amber from a yarn store. Oh, I'll put it here. I just think of her as Amber, and when I see her videos come up I just click, but I've now completely forgotten the name of her YouTube channel. But she was making these last year, or maybe this year in winter, and I was very inspired, and I came across this in a local store to me, not even a wool store, just some random crafty store. It's not even a craft store, it's a store that you think, how do you keep going as a business, because you don't really have anything specific, but you have lots of random things. But maybe that's why they keep going, because people like me find random bits of wool that they need. So I purchased that. So these will be incredibly toasty warm when I finish them, and they are very cute. I just have to remember how I did it and actually finish them. So yeah, there's another one for the autumn finish, autumn makes list in a cute project bag that I made. While we are on the topic, let's add the other one, the other mitten, onto the list, so that maybe I'll actually finish it this autumn. Even the yarn is covered in dust. These are the mystery knit-along mittens from 2021. These are a pattern made by Nina, who also has a podcast, and I will also put it here. I have talked about them several times, probably with new enthusiasm that I'll get somewhere, and then didn't. I basically cast them on, got very confused, didn't understand, contacted Nina, she explained it, and then I just left them. And then about a year later I thought I should work on these, but I'll probably rip them out because I didn't understand. And then when I picked it up I just started knitting and thought, what didn't I understand about this? I couldn't find where I got confused. So I kept on knitting, but then I obviously got distracted and got nowhere. This is the cuff of the first one. I definitely did not enjoy doing these braids. I can't remember if they're Latvian or Estonian braids, but I didn't enjoy doing them. It stressed me out immensely. And then I had the second one, and then the concept that there's another two to go. But it's the first time that I knitted with Rauma Finnul yarn, this one. At the time it was the first time. I think I've knitted with it since, can't remember. But that's as far as I've gone. And I know that they're really beautiful. No, I know they're really beautiful mittens and I want them. So I have to get this enthusiasm to actually continue, because I've got more of her patterns that I want to knit, more of her mitten patterns, and I haven't done them and I want to. So let's add this also in a project bag I made. So where are we? We've got a hat, we've got a shawl, we've got kitten mittens, Thrums mittens, Christmas mittens, and kitten slippers. We're on 6 things at the moment. And I also have another pair of slippers I want to make, because my mum really liked my slippers that I made, the Arctic Starflower slippers, and she requested some. So she is arriving on her holidays to me in November. So I'm hoping I have enough left over to make a second pair. I used 100 grams for my pair and I have exactly 100 grams left. So I have to really hope that I don't get to like the last row and don't have enough. That would be awful. I'm going to have to be very, very yarn conscious when I'm changing my colours, that I don't waste a single strand. So hopefully I can get another pair of the Arctic Starflower slippers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll try and link a video, or you can have a look on my last couple of episodes. Another Swedish designer. On to garments. I enthusiastically cast on my chicken jumper. It happened. The moment that we've all been waiting for, that I would start the chicken jumper. Unfortunately, I have to rip out what I did, but I need to embrace the frog. I need to learn that frogging is totally fine and part of the process and it's all okay. But currently it's sitting there mocking me and I don't want to do it. I didn't get very far, but let us discuss. I wanted to make the Bunny Fluff Hillary and the Magic Fungi cardigan for quite some time, but I never casted it on because I thought there were so many colours and the gauge was so small and I'd never finish it. But since I discovered that pattern, I have discovered vintage knitting and discovered that my gauge always gets crazy tight when doing colour work. So I've made quite a few very tightly knitted items, like small gauge knitted items. You know what I mean. So the gauge on the chicken jumper is 28 stitches, I think, in 4 inches, 10 centimeters, which used to be very intimidating, but I'm no longer intimidated by this because I made a whole jumper at 36 stitches, I think, 34 stitches in 10 centimeters, so now that's fine. I am totally okay with that. And I also used to think that colour work, all over colour work, would be really like boring or not boring, but like it would take so long and like years. But I have since made a full colour work jumper and it was really fun because you always had something new coming. You never just had boring plain stockinette endlessly and endlessly at 28 stitches in 10 centimeters. So I enthusiastically decided I will cast on the chicken jumper, but I'm going to turn it from being a cardigan into a vintage jumper. And that just basically means I'm taking all of the charts that I like and superimposing them onto a made up vintage jumper base, like the home front jumper by Squidney Knits. There's no exact numbers, you calculate the numbers yourself based off of your gauge and you make the jumper and all the numbers you decide on based off of your measurements. So I decided my swatch would be the sleeve and I would guesstimate kind of how many stitches I would want to cast on, and try and imagine what needle size and stitch count would work, and see if that worked, and then to use that as my test swatch, and if it does work then I can just keep knitting up. Theoretically it would have worked if I had done it correctly, but I didn't. I cast it on what I imagine was the right number of stitches, and then proceeded to swap into my different needles, the larger needles, for the main colour section, and then realised I had swapped the needles round. So I'd cast on with I was supposed to cast on with 2.75mm needles and swap to 3.25mm needles for the main part. But I did the ribbing on 3.25 and then I did the colour work on 2.75. So I have to rip it out. Can you see that? There are sections that get embroidered afterwards. So there's parts of the chicken that have red. Here I just used some of the red that was left from here, but it looks a bit messy because for some reason it's really thick. On the other side I didn't. So you're supposed to then at the end put the beaks and the whatever they are, the things that chickens have, and there's some flowers that you can embroider bits onto, so it doesn't look like a complete chicken until the end. But I thought it's weird how it's like cinched in, because that part's supposed to be cinched in, and then I realised when I looked at the needles they're really small needles, and then I checked the size and I did it the wrong way around. So I'm undecided because I can't 100% guarantee that I did this on the 3.25 because I don't remember which ones I did. I don't know if I just kept on going with these needles or if I had actually swapped them. So I'm going to do another one of these on 2.75 and then cross compare them and see if they come out the same size. Then I would have cast on for both sleeves and it's fine, and I'll just rip down to where I started. I did put a lifeline, thank goodness for that. So I can just rip that down and put that onto 3.25 and go on from there. Obviously most vintage knits are knitted flat. But I'm going to do the body in the round up until the arm separation, body arm separation. Then I'm thinking I might just use this colour and do a moss stitch along the top and make it like a square neckline, very similar to the rainbow jumper. And also the sleeves will be in this colour, basically the top of the rainbow jumper. I will superimpose onto the chicken jumper, and I will then not have to do colour work flat with this. I have got plans to do a colour work jumper that's flat, but not the whole thing, just the top yoke part would have some colour work, or potentially intarsia. I'm still not sure. But for now, for sanity's sake, I am doing it in the round, in the spirit of a vintage knit. But yeah, also for now I have to rip that back and start again. I am using wool that is no longer available, so I won't go on into detail about it, but it's a Shetland wool that no longer exists. I have no labels. It's basically like a misc size. Depending on which needle you use, you'll get a different gauge. So I have no idea what gauge this is going to come out at, which is another reason I want to do the sleeve first, and then I can wash it because it's not attached to the jumper in any way, and then I can see what it looks like, if I like it, and go from there. One thing I'm uncertain about, I'm trying to put it down. One thing I'm uncertain about is how long I want the sleeves. Some of me wants them to be bracelet length sleeves, and some of me wants them to be here. I did think I could do the cardigan as well, and then I would have like a twin set almost, but they're not going to be the same era and it might look a bit weird. And also, now that the yarn isn't available anymore, I wouldn't be able to buy the same yarn in order to make it match the same colours. And that's also one of the reasons I'm not sure about the sleeve length, is because I bought this yarn I don't know, either a year or 2 years ago, but I didn't know about positive ease or negative ease. I just went with, I think, the first size and just bought enough yarn for the first size, but I would actually need to knit the third size. So I don't have enough yarn for the cardigan, and the yarn isn't the same weight. This is, I can't remember. The weight of the yarn is not the same as the yarn recommended, which I really, really want to make that cardigan with that yarn. So if this goes well and I enjoy it, then I will make the cardigan, and I will buy that kit in the future when some wonderful event happens. I don't know. When I turn a certain age, or maybe if I earn money somehow, I will buy that kit and make the cardigan in that yarn because it's so beautiful. But for now, I'm going to make the vintage one, and that's why I'm concerned about the sleeve length. But because I'm also making it a different size and I'm making this part all in one colour, then it might not be a problem that I don't have enough yarn because I'm changing it so much. So I am not sure. But I will update you on that in my next regular episode, because I will have started on it by then, or at least at some point in the very near future I would have, and I can update you on how that's going and what decisions I have made. Gosh, that's a lot of rambling about nothing. I basically really like the silhouette of the 1940s and 1950s jumpers, and I thought this would be a really fun way to combine two of the things I've really wanted to make for a really long time, and it could be really, really cute. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and the colours are really autumnal and very nice, so it will be a nice knit to knit on when the colours of the trees are all matching the colours of the yarns. There is another vintage knit on the horizon. I'm just having problems with yarn choice. It's a 1950s pattern, and it is so beautiful, and I did cast it on. I cast on the sleeve again as like a gauge swatch, and the yarn just doesn't work. And do you ever have a yarn that you want to love, like you actually love and you love looking at it, but every project that you try to make with it doesn't work? That is what I have with the woolly knit cones. I have tried so many projects with it and I don't like any of the things I've made. That's a lie. I love my cactus jumper t-shirt, but only from a distance. If I look up close, it bothers me immensely, and I really want to make that again. But from a distance, it's lovely. And it's such nice wool, and it smells nice, and but every project that I make, I don't like, and it's for sure me just not using the wool to its advantage. But I tried to cast on this lace project. You can't see the lace pattern at all. It just gets eaten up by gappiness. And I've used this wool before and washed it and it didn't look any better. I tried using this for a different project that I think one was a lace, and that, yeah, obviously didn't work. Didn't work on a cable project. I don't know what to use this yarn for because I have quite a bit that I bought in 2020. No, it was a present. It was a Christmas present in 2020. And I can't find a use. And I really wanted it to be this. Also, the sleeves just came out huge. That's not gonna work for the pattern. So I would have to go down a needle size, and it was already on, I think, 2.75. So basically this yarn does not work for this pattern, and I'm still trying to figure out what is the best yarn for lace and what is the best yarn for cables. I understand the more plies the better it is for cables, but most of the yarns I own are 2-ply, like physically 2-ply, 2 bits of yarn plied together. And I've seen people have really nice projects with those yarns, so I don't know. Do any of you have any suggestions for what yarn is the best yarn for lace jumpers, lace cardigans, lace work? How it would actually open up and look nice and look like the lace pattern versus just a load of holes mismatched together. Because I've done lace work and it looks lovely. I've done it using cotton and I've done it on a rustic jumper actually, and it still looked nice. It doesn't look like crisp and perfectly clear, but I like it. But for this jumper I really wanted it to be delicate and pretty, and this just is not it. So the poor woolly knit cone goes back to the shelf again. I don't know, maybe I could find Shetland wool, like their Shetland lace wool. Maybe that would work. Because obviously the vintage pattern wool does not exist anymore, and it's incredibly difficult to get the equivalent. They just don't exist anymore. So you can't even go online and search for one that is a good match because they don't exist. But I really, really, really love that jumper. I did make kind of a similar-ish jumper, the very first vintage knit I think, and I used a sport weight yarn because the yarn was thick enough that I could use smaller needles and it looked right. But the jumper was enormous because obviously the gauge was completely off. I'm still trying to figure out how to style that one because I didn't understand anything about the vintage silhouette or the gauge or how any of it worked. So I still love it and I still wear it. It's just, it doesn't look like how it's supposed to look. And I want this one to look like it does in the picture. So. And my final autumn plans project that I'll talk about in this episode, because obviously I will have many more, because who doesn't? We all have a bazillion plans, don't we? But I'm trying to be realistic with what I could achieve. We'll see. This is a sneaky peek into my acquisitions from Scotland, but this yarn came into my life by Scotland. I went to Scotland not last week, the week before, and we went to Scotland Spinnery and found this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous yarn, which I can't pronounce. Swak? Ooh. I'm trying to learn the Swedish letters. And the A with an O on top is like ooh. So maybe swak? It's here. And I know many of you who follow me also are a big fan of Anna Husfeldt, and she has designed the Yggdrasil pullover, which I have made 2 of, and she designed the Valkyria Cardigan, which I have mentioned several times. And I never bought the pattern because I said I'm not buying the pattern until I have the yarn that she used, and that is the yarn I want, and I want that cardigan, basically exactly her cardigan. And I could find substitute yarn, but then it wouldn't look like the jumper that she has. And then I found out I couldn't get a hold of this yarn, so because they don't ship outside of Sweden. So we went on holiday and I went to the spinnery and bought it in person. So here it is. I have 3 and I still haven't purchased the pattern because I don't know, I keep thinking don't buy patterns until you're going to cast them on. Just stop buying things and then letting them just sit around. But it's really silly because I buy the yarn for a project and yet I don't buy the pattern. Like what? So I still have yet to purchase the pattern, but I want to get the pattern, then I will cast on this cardigan with the right yarn, and it feels so good. And when I went to the spinnery, I saw the cardigan in person, and it's a very simple cardigan, but I think because I saw there's more of a connection to it, because I've watched Anna's podcast on YouTube and I've watched her on Instagram like grow as a knitwear designer, and then you go somewhere to the country that she's from and then you see her work, and it's just like there's so much more of a connection than just seeing a cardigan. And then of course this beautiful, beautiful Gotland wool. Oh. So it's going to become a Valkyria cardigan, and when I buy the pattern. I have one more project that I have planned. I won't go into detail because you've already heard me talk about it at least 3 times, but it is the forest berry jacket. I want to cast that on as well. That's also knitted in wool I got from Sweden. So can make a drinking game really out of how many times I say Sweden and talk about Swedish designers or Swedish patterns, Swedish wool. You'd all be completely trolleyed by now. But that is the other plan. So lots and lots of plans for somebody who doesn't knit particularly fast. But hey, we all can dream, and I am a big dreamer. I have more plans in my head, but I will save them for the upcoming months, perhaps when some of these have actually come off of my needles into the world. Then I will discuss the other plans I have. So they are my autumn plans. How about you guys? Are you planning on any of these same knits? What are you working on? What are your plans? Let me know in the comments or send me a message on Instagram or on my email. I do have an email. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry and Coffee as Emily Kate Makers. And yeah, there you can find me. And I will see you on my next episode where I will talk about my finished objects, what I'm working on, and how my trip to Gotland and Öland was. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye.